to the stage is the king of crazy. Let's put our hands together and welcome the king of crazy, Keon Hayes, and hanging with the Hazes.
What's up, fam?
Yeah!
Show you right.
That's right. Give it up for my main man. Now let's get into this.
Thank you so much for coming back. This is the King of Crazy, Keon, and on the last unscripted episode we talked about the history of black camping, and now I want to dive a little bit into the differences between black camping and white camping. Now, some will say that there is no difference. I beg to differ. There is a huge difference.
Yeah!
The biggest difference in camping styles has to do with what black people were allowed to do in the 60s and 70s, which has influenced our camping life now. Now, let me just kind of put this thing in a different perspective. Black people started off boondocking in vans and tent camping in, various parks and places where we were allowed to go, where Jim Crow and segregation was not running rampant. Because of that, our camping style now is more, evolved than it was back in the 70s and 80s. So your white friends may camp and they are okay going to state parks and they are okay going to national parks and things like that because growing up they were allowed to go. Black people weren't. So we're not really going to get into the state park scene, the national park scene, unless we're bold and adventurous, and there are a lot of us out there that are. Most of the time, black people are going to go to resorts. And the reason is because there's a safety aspect in it. Most people are going to, black people specifically, are going to camp at organized events where there are black people either hosting, attending in large numbers, and usually they got some type of R&B or hip hop bumping. Now, the other difference between black campers and white campers is what we camp in. A lot of your white families have the financial resources growing up where their parents had large camping apparatuses and things. That's not so much so for black campers. They tend to do a lot of tent camping. They tend to do a lot of van camping still, and they into the smaller RVs because a lot of black campers are in urban environments where they live. Now, there are the few of us that do live out on the countryside, and we do have your larger units, your big fifth wheels, your Class A and Class C RVs, which I happen to have. We camp in a 40-foot Class A diesel motorhome, and we do find that we stick out like a sore thumb when we go out. Now, I'm bold. I'll camp anywhere. I'll boondock at a bar, in the back of a brewery, or I will stay in Disney Fort Wilderness. It doesn't matter to me. If there is space for me to put my vehicle and I can run my generator or run off my inverter, I'm in it. Now, that's new mindset for me. However, what I've come to understand is I refuse to limit myself because of what people think, say, and do. Now, is there a safety aspect to it? Yeah, kind of, sort of. I'm particular about where I go simply because I have my family with me a lot of times. However, they are vigilant and they keep their head on a swivel. I keep my head on a swivel. And let's just be honest with you. Some places, they just happy to have somebody come visit and spend some money. They're not really into the whole, segregation or racism thing. I've never, ever run into that. From an establishment. Now, I've had some people look at me kind of strange, like, where did you get that from? Do you sell drugs? Or, my neighbors probably think I'm selling dope. But, for the most part, I don't experience that. White campers are able to go into some very remote places and feel very comfortable. Well, let me just be upfront with you. Black people ain't doing that. So, I'll give you an example. Crossville, Tennessee. White people will go there and hang out and have no problem. Now, I'm a bold guy. I ain't going to Crossville, Tennessee, because in my mind, the way I was raised and the influence that's around me, Crossville should be called Burning Crosses, Tennessee. Listen, if anybody's out there from Crossville, I'm not talking about you. I'm just telling you the mindset of what people have. People, they get a little nervous when you start talking about some of these remote areas because of how we were treated over the years. Now, let me also say this. Black campers tend to be more resourceful. Okay. So when we do go camping, we're going to hang out and, do things that we think are cool with camping. So we're going to bring the black stone and we're going to have some comfort to it because we didn't have that comfort coming through the 60s and 70s. So you're going to see a black stone grill out there. You're going to see a nice Weber grill, and we're going to grill it up and buy some food and hang out. And we're going to be by the campfire doing it to it. Well, white people do that too, but just not to the glorified glamping experience that we do. Some of them will, but most typically don't. The other thing, like I said, we go to resorts and we flock to places where there are a great number of black people. So what will happen is we'll do events, and then people will come to those events, and it's a like-minded mindset of large safety in numbers. I guess that's the way I want to say it. And so you'll see a lot of that going on where, white people will tend to just kind of go and be okay. And if they're by themselves, not a big deal. And we're, as a camping family, we're the same way. I mean, we've gone to some crazy places over the last few years that most black people just simply wouldn't think about going. However, once you experience that and you know how to conduct yourself, please and thank you, yes ma'am and yes sir, listen, a lot of things you don't really have to deal with. We're not bumping Tupac going up and down the street. We're not, trying to make ourselves look a certain way or anything like that. We just trying to blend in and have some fun. Now, if you're willing to do that, you can go anywhere in this country that you want to. And the likelihood is you may not have a problem, but please keep in the back of your mind, yeah, you are going to camp different from our white counterparts and white neighbors because we are different. We just, our upbringing, the way we do things, the mindset, it's different. So, and it's okay. Don't let nobody think and tell you that it's not okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay for you to be different. Another thing that black people do different than white people when it comes to camping, it has to do with how we do, like, I don't want to say recreation because camping is recreation, but it's like what we do. Like, we're not going to be out there playing pickleball. That's just not how we grew up. We might play tennis a little bit. We might get in the pool, but, we might throw some horseshoes a little bit. But pickleball, volleyball, stuff like that, our activities, that's the best word. Our activities are going to be different. We're just not going to do the same thing. We trying to go camping and relax. We ain't trying to do no work. No. So a nice, good camper resort that might be on a beach. I remember a couple of years ago, we went down to the southernmost part of Virginia and the Cape. So I know you've heard of the Delmarva Peninsula. Well, right before the bridge tunnel going into Virginia, there was a wonderful campground, KOA campground. It was right on the beach. It was right on the water. It was really nice. It was a bunch of black people there. And the gentleman that threw the party, man, we had a great time. We had some crabs. We got together. We did our thing in our group. And you could definitely see that people were looking like, man, what they got going on over there? And I ended up having to tell one of my camping friends that was out there that I met. I said, listen, man, black people camp different. We bring in crabs, beer, we breaking out the grills. We having all of this fun time. Why don't you come over and check us out and see how we do it? And they were a little, reserved about that. Nah, I get it. It is what it is. People are be what they be. But at the end of the day, there's definitely a big difference in the way that we do things. And I'm not ashamed of that. And then you shouldn't be either. We are going to be much more open to allowing people to come in our space, whereas a lot of white campers may not be. I have noticed that over the years, and I've been camping for a long time. So my experience is going to be a little bit more diverse than most, but nevertheless, there is a difference, and it's okay to embrace that difference. I sure do. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't be different, because at the end of the day, you can, and enjoy it. Just be respectful. And that's pretty much all anybody can ask. We be respectful to those things. So with that being said, yeah, the answer to the question, we camp different, and it's okay. And if you want to join us, come on over. We like to drink beer and share fishtails just like anybody else. So I'm going to turn this over to my man, Funky Skunk. And thank y'all so much for checking me out. Make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe, because there's more content to come. And we out of here.
Be sure to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you can always catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Hanging with the Hazes.